Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this episode of Lore and Flavor, I'm going to take a look at the upcoming Unholy Death Knight cards in Hearthstone. So, Unholy Death Knight in World of Warcraft, the Unholy spec of Death Knight is a damage dealing spec, it's a DPS spec, and it's the spec that makes the most use of minions. Using their ghoul, transforming their ghoul into bigger, summoning gargoyles, just summoning a lot of stuff, using all of those minions to their advantage and dealing a bunch of damage. So how does that translate into Hearthstone? It does translate into an archetype that uses a lot of minions and a lot of summons, so the overall theme is there. What about the individual cards? First of all, we have Plagued Grain. Gain 4 corpses, shuffle 4 crates into your deck that summon a 2/2 undead when drawn. Oh, don't mind the smell, they're just aged. And this is the grain that started it all. The Scourge invasion of Rarran, the fall of Stratholme. This grain turns people into zombies. The entire city of Stratholme had to be purged because Plagued Grain was eaten by the inhabitants and bad things started to happen. So yeah, this is a very iconic card for all of Scourge. Then we have the Battlefield Necromancer, a 2-mana 2/3. At the end of your turn, raise a corpse as a 1/2 risen footman with Taunt. Coming soon, the Hand Necromancer and the Deck Necromancer. Yeah, Battlefield means the area on the board, and then Hand and Deck. Yeah, a little bit of a Hearthstone pun there. And this unit doesn't really have much to do with World of Warcraft, but it does look exactly like the Necromancer unit in Warcraft 3, so yeah, there's that. Bonedigger Geist is a 2-mana 2/2 undead. Battlecry, spend a corpse to gain +1/+2. He's a grave half-full kind of Geist. Geists in general in World of Warcraft, Geists are low rank manual labor undead. They're fighters, they're laborers. And note also in this graphic there's a hangman's noose around the Geist's neck. That's a typical feature of Geists in World of Warcraft as well. Dark Transformation is a 2-mana shadow spell. Transform an undead into a 4/5 undead monstrosity with Rush. The Northrend Arm Wrestling Championship just found its new champion. Yeah, increasing the size of the arm a little bit in the graphic. Dark Transformation is an Unholy Death Knight talent. It temporarily empowers your ghoul companion, and it's a key part of your damage rotation. You use it all the time as soon as it's off the cooldown. Alright, let's make a bigger ghoul, and ghoul will hit more. Very key ability, and this card does capture the essence of that ability quite nicely. 2-mana Necrotic Mortician. Battlecry, if a friendly undead died after your last turn, discover an Unholy Rune card. 2/3 stats. Her hair, just like her name, is full of ticks. Yeah, ticks and ticks. Too bad for those ticks, but anyway, I don't have anything about this. This doesn't really resemble anything in WoW too much. Then we have Plague Strike, a 2-mana shadow spell. Deal 3 damage to a minion. If that kills it, summon a 2/2 zombie with Rush. Not wanting to infect anyone with his code, the Death Knight politely cuffed into his shoulder. Yeah, inspired by the art, no doubt. This is a basic Unholy Death Knight attack, or was. It's no longer part of the game. It used to deal damage, and it also applied some plagues on the target, so that killing it summoning zombie with Rush, sort of nice. But yeah, this no longer exists in WoW. Anti-Magic Shell is also now an Unholy Death Knight card, 3-mana, give your minions +1/+1 and can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. Using a spell to counter magic, a bit hypocritical, don't you think? In World of Warcraft, Anti-Magic Shell is the basic Death Knight damage reduction cooldown. You click the button and it absorbs magic damage. And this is also a changed version of the old Hearthstone card that used to be one of the cards that you could get from the original Lich King. So, alright, it sort of does that. Then we have Blightfang, a 3-mana 3/3 beast. Battlecry, infect all enemy minions. When they die, you summon a 2/2 zombie with Taunt, the giant enemy spider. There's no direct correspondent to this, from World of Warcraft at least that I could find. Like Hadronox is probably the closest. We already have Hadronox in the game though. It's a druid minion, and Hadronox is unique. It's not like a species, it's a name. So yeah, we don't really have much to go with this one. Graveyard Shift, not really World of Warcraft reference, but more of a general pun. 3-mana, summon 2 1/1 zombies with Reborn. Why are we even open at night? This place is dead. Yeah, many jokes about night shifts, and not that much about World of Warcraft. Unholy Death Knight overall has a lot more of these generic puns and references that I don't seem to be able to connect with World of Warcraft or the Unholy Death Knight itself. Blood and Frost had a lot more clear references. This one is more generic. Meat Grinder, 3 mana, Battlecry shared a random minion in your deck to gain 3 corpses, a 3/4 mech. Well, I mean, this is just Meat Wagon. The art is literally Meat Wagon. After the Horde and Alliance sieged Icecrown Citadel, they took these back to use in their delis. Well, I mean, Meat Wagons were, but, well, alright. But anyway, Meat Wagon, unit in Warcraft 3. Also, there's nowadays a mount in World of Warcraft that's a Meat Wagon. And in Warcraft 3, Meat Wagon picks up corpses in order to reanimate them, or you can use them as ammunition and just use them in catapult. So that's Meat Wagon. Unholy Frenzy, a 3 mana spell, choose an enemy minion. Your minions attack it, resummon any that die. Group Hug. Unholy Frenzy ability is no longer in the game. In World of Warcraft, it used to be a powerful single target DPS increase cooldown. So you cast Unholy Frenzy on a friend of yours and then for the next 30 seconds they did a lot of damage. It's been replaced by Unholy Assault, which is a strike that the Death Knight does, and then the Death Knight itself gets that increased damage for 20 seconds nowadays. But it doesn't really resemble this ability in any way. Ymir Deathbringer, 3 mana, 3/3 undead, taunt, death rattle, spend 3 corpses, summon a 3/3 risen Ymir with taunt. Purple cotton candy is the snack of choice in Ymirheim. And Ymirheim is the main city of these undead half-giants, resurrected or risen by the Lich King. They are found in Icecrown. There's a couple of dungeons in raids. And Ymir Deathbringer does exist in the game as such as well. She's an ad that summons more ads and shoots at you with shadow magic. So alright, that's pretty decent match. And at 4 mana we have Grave Strength. Give your minions +1 attack, spend 5 corpses to give them +3 instead, a shadow spell. They're just standing there menacingly. Well, Grave Strength doesn't really have any counterpart in World of Warcraft. Just like this spec is a lot of generic puns. Also at 4 mana, Nerubian Swarm Guard, taunt, Battlecry, summon 2 copies of this minion, 1/3 undead. How long can this go on? Apparently even in death. So some reference to Samurai Chain Gang there. Anyway, Nerubians are an arachnid race that lives in Northrend. They lost their war against the Lich King, but there are still some live Nerubians around. This specimen apparently is reanimated because there's the undead tag. It's not a living Nerubian, although there are Nerubian swarm guards in the game as well. And those swarm guards are part of the Nerubians that have escaped actually from Northrend and are still very much alive. So this doesn't have a direct counterpart in that sense because this one is clearly undead. Then we have Tomb Guardians, summon 2 2/2 zombies with taunt, spend 4 corpses to give them reborn, and absolute thriller. And I mean, the art and the flavor text, that's a reference to the Michael Jackson song, Thriller, and to the music video of that song. I guess maybe the whole Tomb Guardian thing, maybe the whole concept is a reference to that song. So again, Unholy venturing a little bit outside of this World of Warcraft limits. But not with Army of the Dead, because Army of the Dead, 5 mana, raise up to 5 corpses as 2/2 risen ghouls with Rush. Yesterday's army, today. Army of the Dead is an Unholy Death Knight talent. It's a pretty important ability. It's a long cooldown, is it like 8 minutes nowadays? And it deals a lot of damage because it summons a swarm of ghouls that just wildly attack everywhere, for 30 seconds anyway. And Army of the Dead, summoning those ghouls from those corpses with Rush, that is actually a very sweet fit. Possessifier also costs 5 mana, Battlecry, summon 2 1/1 fighters with Rush and Reborn. Beating the best, being the best, and brainwashing the rest. And Possessifier is reference to Possessi, the 2021 Hearthstone World Champion. So this is the World Championship card. Usually Hearthstone prints some kind of reference to all the World Champions. And this one is Possessi, no specific reference to World of Warcraft here. Then we finally have a more iconic character in the form of Lord Marrowgar, 8 mana, Battlecry, raise all of your corpses as 1/1 risen golems with Rush. For each that can't fit, give 1 +2 +2, 9/7 undead. And now Lord Marrowgar with the weather. But this actually isn't at all like the Lord Marrowgar fight, because Lord Marrowgar is the first boss in Icecrown Citadel raid. The definitive features of that fight are Bone Storm, Whirlwind Attack, and then Bone Spikes and lines of frost that Marrowgar shoots, and Marrowgar doesn't have any ads. So yeah, this is not at all like Lord Marrowgar in WoW. Also at 9 mana we have the Scourge, a legendary spell. Fill your board with random undead. You speak of justice, of cowardice. I will show you the justice of the grave and the true meaning of fear. And that's a direct quote from Lich King from Battle of Angrathar the Wrathgate, where Lich King responds to Bolvar and raises more fighters to the fray. So, alright, pretty sweet actually, very, very apt. And finally we have Stitch Giants, 10 mana, 8/8 undead, costs 1 less for each corpse you've spent this game, Subik or go home. So Flesh Giants, these are Flesh Giants that are found in Naxxramas. They hit, they stun, they knock you back, usual giant stuff. Nothing specific about those. And I guess it's pretty sweet that they're related to corpses, because after all they are stitched together from various bits and pieces. So there were a few pieces here with Unholy Death Knights that were very thematic, but Unholy Death Knight also included a lot more just generic puns and references to all sorts of other popular media apart from World of Warcraft, more than Blood and Frost. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.